always glad to be with you and to join your event here. Let's start right with what are some of the key trends impacting cloud investments in Europe in 2022. And IDC basically sees 6 key trends. First one is related to application modernization. So organizations increasingly want to move towards a data-centric architecture, which requires also, of course, appropriate cloud-based modern architecture applications to support that. And there will be hybrid and multi-cloud strategies for sure. So organizations will execute multi-cloud strategies, which avoids vendor lock-in, while at the same time capitalizing on different services that the major cloud providers offer. So especially around security, application migration, analytics, or application development services. So, hybrid cloud strategies includes, of course, management of both concepts, so on-premise and cloud, and which, of course, creates quite some complexity to manage, which leads to the next trend, and this is related to intelligent cloud operations and governance. And this is an important topic where a lot of organizations are currently trying to make sense of the complexity that they've created with their hybrid and multi-cloud strategies and architectures. And there's a big need for developing cloud operations and governance concepts. Cloud data management is also very important because in the end, it's all about data and how the data is stored and accessible and who controls the data. And it's, of course, also about how to protect data in the different cloud services. And this is then very closely related to the topic of data sovereignty, and which is exactly about the question, who owns the data, who can do what with the data. And last but not least, every business unit in the organization is asked to contribute to sustainability goals today. And migrating to the cloud solutions can contribute to those targets, thinking about more energy efficient data centers that reduce carbon footprint. So these were some of the key trends we see impacting cloud in Europe, basically. And I'm sure none of them are completely new to you. And I'm sure this resonates with what you see in the markets or what you see yourself confronted with. And now let's look into what cloud platform strategies European organizations will adopt to support their digital transformation programs. So in one of our ongoing surveys, we asked organizations which of the statements best describes their organization's approach to committing resources to one or more major platforms to support their digital transformation programs in the next 2 years. And our research shows that over a third of organizations in Europe pursue a multi-cloud strategy by committing resources and skills to across multiple clouds. And another quarter of organizations are pursuing a cross-cloud strategy. This is what we mean with when data can be moved easily between multiple public clouds without any additional work. And the cross-cloud capability is necessary basically to enable secure data sharing across cloud providers and regions. And cross-cloud architecture is actually a key enabler for hybrid cloud computing. And 22% of organizations take a slightly simpler approach of committing to just one cloud platform and utilizing a wide range of services to meet the needs of various stakeholders within their organization. And there is only a handful of companies that look at open source to avoid vendor lock-in, but this, of course, requires that organizations recognize the costs, skills, and time and efforts that are necessary to run open source platforms themselves, or basically to run open source platforms. And now, what does the situation and adoption of cloud looks like in the European manufacturing industry, as an example? And what some of our survey results show or have shown is that the European manufacturing community or those organizations consider existing limited data capacity as a key trigger to use cloud services along with the opportunity to leverage cloud-specific functionalities or cloud-specific services such as AI-enabled analytics, and also keeping up with compliance regulations across regions, supporting digital transformation initiatives and IT budgets being constrained or reduced are considered triggers for using cloud services. And interestingly, I had a conversation just last week with the global head of IT infrastructure services at a global forklift manufacturer. And when asked what he wishes he had done, knowing what the situation looks like now, so today, he said, given the current political and economic uncertainties, I wish we had invested more and accelerate migration to cloud to increase resilience. So that was quite interesting, I think. And there are, of course, other triggers beyond those top 5, which are, by the way, related to reducing number of data centers or software applications or hardware or servers coming to their end of life, better supporting remote workforce. So we all have to manage remote workforce, hybrid workforce, and support them. Or other triggers are related to data breaches. And although data breaches are sometimes a trigger to move to the cloud, in fact, data protection and security are, of course, key concerns to address, in particular when talking about cloud. And we also asked European manufacturers about their biggest security, compliance, or trust challenges when it comes to the cloud. And for 46% of manufacturers in Europe, for them, concerns mainly relate to data protection in the cloud, and for another 30%, almost 30% for each of European manufacturers, major concerns relate to ensuring, again, regulatory compliance and identity and access management. And actually, another way to look at this security aspect is that security is the #1 key determining factor for manufacturers when deciding about which application or workloads to migrate to the public cloud and which to keep on premise. Actually, I see that overview on the right-hand side. And there are, of course, other relevant factors such as costs, importance of workloads to the business, ability to use analytics or AI capabilities that are available in the cloud. But the most important factor here is security. So data protection and security are major concerns that need to be addressed. But now let's have a look at the adoption and investment plans of manufacturing organizations in some selected, more industry-specific use cases. And looking at some very different use cases, around every use case, there is a certain share of manufacturers that have always run related applications on premise and will have no plans to change that. See the blue and light bluish sections of the columns. And there are also manufacturers already using cloud for those applications and those that have planned to invest in the coming 2 years. So see the yellow, orange, and purple sections in the columns. But noticeably, there is also a share of manufacturers that have moved applications back from the cloud to on-premise. And there's a number of reasons for that, such as data protection, again, security, and also cost. And some simply decided to move to the cloud too fast and only then realized what the consequences were. But let's have a look at some of the selected use cases. And starting or looking at customer relationship management, those are among the most mature cloud-enabled use cases. But despite of the trend of moving CRM to the cloud, there is a solid portion, if you look at it, reluctant to that. And here, the fear of losing sensitive customer data could be one of the key reasons, and to convince manufacturers moving to the cloud, CRM vendors surely or certainly should accentuate the cybersecurity aspect here. And looking at ERP applications, so about 50%, so half of the respondents run ERP in the cloud, and further 10% have plans to move to the cloud. And really the major benefits manufacturers expect from that relate to advanced capabilities utilizing AI, analytics, or the automatic updates. And looking at enterprise asset management, which is a key topic in manufacturing, users here remain quite conservative when considering moving to the cloud. However, with an increasing deployment of as-a-service business models, we actually expect that cloud-based enterprise application management applications will gain traction in the coming years, as those help manufacturing and also service organizations to gain better control and on asset management costs. And looking at supply chain management, SCM typically involves integrated demand and supply planning, strategic material sourcing, or omni-channel fulfillment, all of which requires to integrate multiple stakeholders in the supply chain. And moving supply chain management solutions to the cloud can be an enabler, of course, of a better collaboration among all these relevant stakeholders in a supply chain. And driven by the pandemic, the speed of innovation and development of new products becomes priority for organizations. And to fulfill requirements of modern research and development, organizations need to establish accessible and scalable collaboration platforms, such as cloud-based PLM applications or platforms. And actually, with only 13% of respondents willing to move to the cloud within the next 2 years, and another quarter of organizations currently using cloud-based PLM, from my perspective, there is actually quite some business potential for the rest of the organizations to accelerate their journey to the cloud for their PLM applications. And last but not least, just another example, quality management. This is a core process of any manufacturing company. And this is being challenged quite heavily by growing regulatory compliance requirement or regulatory requirements. And in order to master these challenges, again, modern cloud-based quality management applications with robust artificial intelligence solutions or machine learning capabilities can enable manufacturers to ensure compliance goals much better, thereby speeding up time to market. So different use cases in manufacturing for sure show different adoption levels and also different investment plans around migrating or moving to the cloud. And technology certainly is one major part here. But there are other things actually that will also impact whether or not this will be a success, and this is change management. And change management is considered actually a cornerstone of a successful cloud adoption process, and it should never be underestimated. And we actually grouped some survey results of some of the perceived challenges of change management in 3 groups, so strategy, culture, and execution. And some interesting findings are related to the strategy of change management at the very bottom. And here, survey results show that manufacturers consider in particular key stakeholders brought too late into the process and poor leadership as a key challenge or key challenging. And when it comes to the execution of change management, manufacturers consider in particular a lack of training on using new technology as a challenge. So moving to the cloud will bring benefits, but also needs to address concerns, for example, related to data protection. And it's not only about technology, but it's also about people and change management. So what is it I would like you to take away from that short little session today? And this is that cloud is definitely becoming mainstream, sort of mainstream in Europe, and will be mainly hybrid and multi-cloud strategies. And for sure, data protection and data security are major concerns that definitely need to be addressed. And among manufacturing organizations in Europe, CRM-related use cases are among the most mature cloud-enabled use cases, but supply chain and quality management-related applications in the cloud, for example, are definitely catching up. And there is actually quite a large share, or still a large share, of industry-specific applications running on premise, just thinking about product lifecycle management applications, so PLM applications, which hold significant business potential for cloud migrations. And drivers in general of cloud investments will relate to benefiting from additional capabilities in the cloud, such as data analytics or AI, or ensuring compliance and achieving or contributing to cost efficiency, as well as ensuring or enabling remote work and access from anywhere concepts. So again, and definitely last but not least, again, change management is considered a cornerstone, or should be considered a cornerstone, and as I just said, should never be underestimated. So thank you very much. And it was a pleasure.
Thank you.